Today we are going to do MMXC mod on KPH30i's. These are fantastic headphones for the amount of headphone you get for the price. I think they were $20-$25. Very inexpensive, very good sounding. You can buy these big old Grado pads, which just slot right over the top, and they make for a really fun, surprisingly enjoyable headphone. So I am going to mod these with a detachable MMXC connection, normally used for IEMs. So the pretty common to use for this, just because it's a nice small port. It's easy to get into place. There we go. So we're gonna be getting these little guys here. Probably will not show up on camera, but that's all right. Trust me, they're there. These little guys here, so that we can use nicer detachable cable with these headphones. So yeah, that's my plan. I've never done this before. I've never done a headphone mod before. It's quite possible that this video will never see the light of day if it goes horribly. So yeah, if you don't see this video, you won't know because you'll never have seen it. Yeah, let's get right into it. I think the first thing I kind of want to do, I'm trying to figure out if I want to try to get the cups off the side. It looks like they could just pop right out, but I don't want to ruin, because there's a little bit of a rubber articulation system here. Comfort. It certainly doesn't look like it's glued. I think it's just a pressure fit. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that'll make things a little easier to work with. So I'll pop that off. Pop this off. Oh, right. I'm like, why does that look different? There we go. All right. Set the headband aside for, there's something to be said for simplicity. It has a slide adjust system, so I just put these little zip ties on it just to kind of lock it in position for my big fat head. All right, so I'm thinking try for the guitar pick first. The nice thing about these are clear, so you can see tab here, and tab here. You can try to get underneath and release that. Trying to see which way I need to push the tab. They try to steer clear of the driver. I don't want to damage the driver. Ooh, there we go. Got one. Actually pretty easy. And the nice thing, this is a pretty chill mod in regards to the cost of things, because let's be quite honest, if I need a thicker. Okay. I'll keep trying with this. The nice thing about this is because it's such a low cost headphone, low cost mod, the stakes are quite low so far as if I were to fail, it's not costing me, $150 mouse or, $80 mouse or anything like that. It's like a $25 headphone. Here we go. There's 2, 3. I'm not going to go too crazy with this. A lot of my sins will be hidden behind the big ass pads, because the pads actually, here, I'll show you. When these are seated in the pad, you basically just, there's a little inner slot that you can see. And obviously I cut out a little part for the cable to come through. These guys just kind of tuck into that slot, and then the cable comes out through the part that I cut. But the nice part about this is once it's all kind of seated in there, you can see, even if I break a bunch of snaps or have to use glue or something, it's all pretty well and hidden. So, it's probably not going to be the most cosmetically beautiful mod, but, hey, I mean, what, the pads are $5, $10, the headphones $15, $25. You know, all very low cost stuff. So if I fail this time and want to retry, it's not the end of the world. But I am trying to keep the snaps intact. Okay, so now with these guys being the size they are, I almost think, yeah, I can pretty much just press them into the existing, so you can see there's a little bit of a cutout where the stock retention stuff is. So I'm thinking all I really need to do is kind of obviously get it soldered and then just press it in. And these guys have little threads and little nuts, but I don't think I'll need that, because by the time the pressure gets reapplied, I think it'll just hold itself in with the pressure fit. Now my question is, if I get this out of the way, is it glued? I think it's glued. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to be real cautious. Okay, what am I thinking then? Yeah, just cautious not to burn the existing foam, because it's gonna be difficult to get around that. The speaker is pretty well protected. I don't really want to mess around with the soldering near the speaker. I'd rather just deal with soldering on the little connectors, because if I fail on the connectors, you know, if I put a little too much heat into the connector, then maybe I melt like the internal part of the connector, but then I just grab one of my 4 other connectors. So the stakes are quite low, like I said. Let's see. Now what I'm trying to figure out is, can I pull? I want to see if I can pull some more of this cable loose so I have a little bit more to work with. I also want to do so without yanking the cable off, which I think is not going to be a reality for me, unfortunately. I think what I'm going to have to do then, do a little bit of a chop. I did grab some Suguru so that I could like mold this and put it all back together. But again, I think it's I think pressure will hold it in just fine. Yeah, I think once it's all said and done, I'll just try to angle it. It'll be really hard to see in the video, but I'll try to angle it a little down like that. Well, yeah. I don't know that I actually grabbed anything to cut with. I didn't. Of course I didn't. Okay, I need to visit the closet. Here, back. I think the video stopped recording there. I'll probably re-say a lot of what I said. You can see I'm already partly into it. I don't know if the first half of the video there actually recorded or not. So it's there or it's not there. We'll go over a bunch of it when we get into the second ear pod. Pad? Cup, the second ear cup. Yeah, might cut out. This one just might be done in the video. We'll see. I'll have to figure out how much of that survived or not. So we're going to do, let's see if there's a way that I can, no, I can see it. I can see it's all kind of pretty in there, so. Yeah, I was a lot less confident about this prior to doing the HSK mods, and then I ended up having to do some soldering to get the paracord in place. And those were tiny ass little cables, and it went fine. It went perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm a little more confident about this now, which is nice. Good to have confidence. Yeah, we're just gonna dive right in. Now these are gonna be fiddly and tiny, but there's very little we can do about that. Question is, how do I want to grab onto this guy? Let's just do it over top of the foam, because again, the foam's hidden underneath all the rest of it. More can I onto that? No. But can I grip? That. All right. Really that cheap? Something like that. Okay. So, get my soldering up. Wet my sponge. Always forget something. Video's gonna be scuffed as hell. I can't wait to watch it. What a mess. All right. I've got some spare wire and stuff if I need to redo these tiny little wires. They tiny. Really do be small. Up. All right. One problem doing projects like this. Camera's up here, project's down here. I gotta try to keep the project centered, but it's so small. Like this is like 1.5 feet away from my face, and I'm old. Fucking eyes don't see that well. Does make it a little challenging. Oops, come back. Oh, this freaking... Why are you all loose now? This little helping hands thing is so cheap. Am I thinking? Maybe I'll... You know what? I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I'm actually gonna put this one on the other side. Now normally you wouldn't want to do this because then you can't thread on these little nuts, but because of the pressure fit of this, I don't think it's necessary. And also I can see a little bit of a tab down there, which makes me wonder if I need to just plan to have a little extra clearance. So I'm thinking I'm putting the ground cable on the far side, which would make things a little easier for the side a little closer to me, or for the to get the little pin, the red one. We're just gonna YOLO. Like I said, it's not an expensive set of parts, so that should do it. You don't need much. Oh, that's barely connected though. Okay, let me try that again. I think I need a little more heat in the wire there. Everything. The angle to come at this from. I think like this. There we go. That looks like an actual connection now. Trying to figure. It's weird. Like when you touch something that small, it's difficult for your brain to figure out if it's hot or cold. Like that actually felt cold at first. I'm like, wait, why does it feel cold? And then I was like, oh no, it feels hot. Weird. Brain just didn't know what to do with that information. Really small pieces. Heat and cool very quickly. Now we're gonna try to get this guy onto that tiny pin there. Give me, I gotta move the mic out of the way and take a closer look so you can see my head. I apologize. I really cannot understate how tiny that is. Very difficult for me to work when and make a video out of. Same story as before. Again, I'm going to move the mic out of the way, so bear with me. I might cut that part cut that part out because probably no fun staring at the back of my head. I had to pre-pin or pre-solder the little pin in the center there because I was just having a hard time. It just wanted to stick to the soldering iron. Let me see. Now, what I should be able to do. That guy in position. Okay. I have to take a closer look, see if that, make sure I didn't actually bridge anything I shouldn't have there. Oh, okay. Looks like everything's being kept separate. I'm gonna plug in. Pull an earbud and I should be able. Oh, oops. I don't have the right people plugged in. I'm like, oh no, I don't hear anything. Still don't hear anything. All right. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, cool. I can hear it. It's just I forget the KPH30i have a much higher impedance compared to the IEMs that I'm wearing. That's one that is at least functioning. Okay, so there we go. That's one. And now what I should be able to do basically just clip it back together. I'm sorry, there's limited room to work with here, so again, just trying to figure out how I can show you the viewer. I think what I have to do is sort of if I'm lucky, we'll all just flip back together, which it seems to have done. Yeah, realistically, that's not going anywhere. May add like a drop of super glue or something to help hold that in place, but I don't think that's strictly necessary. Let's see. Yeah, I think the little threads are gonna hold that in nicely. Cool. Okay, so that's one done. Redo the whole thing. On the other side, hopefully we are. Oops. Hopefully don't throw a soldering iron at ourselves. What's this one? 400 degrees Celsius right now. So yeah, maybe we'll not do that. Okay. So I don't know if the first part of the video actually recorded properly, because when I went to my phone to turn off the heat and it wasn't recording. So we'll see. So basically there's 3 small tabs. I'm just going to use the iFixit guitar pick essentially. I actually use real guitar picks often enough because you can get them in different thicknesses. So if you need something with a little more oomph, you can get a thicker guitar pick. So I like proper guitar picks, but this is what we got on hand. So it's going to slide underneath the edge between the foam and the rear plastic. Give it a little twist. Sometimes they fight you a little more than you think. There we go. 1. That one's fighting me, so I'm going to move around. What I don't want to do is I don't want to break these tabs because I do want to make sure this all comes back together in a somewhat nice way. Come on, buddy. There we go. There's 2. I'm also trying to avoid aggressively popping this off because I don't want to tear the plug off of the cables, rather, off of the actual speaker part. There we go. So you need to be firm but gentle. Now I can do this, pull this guy out. There we go. Rear air cup released, and then it's just gonna be the exact same story. You know, it's gonna. I'm just gonna pressure fit it in. I'm gonna try to cheat it more towards kind of leaning this way. The actual port, sorry, I know it's tiny, it's hard to see. Try to cheat it more towards the inside of itself so that it doesn't get in the way of the little tabs that you can see here. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. We're just gonna try to snip this as long as we can. Just not very long. Still drinking my morning coffee. All right. We got our 2 connectors now. So this time, last time I started with the easy one and then did the hard one last. I'm actually gonna do the hard one first. That makes way more sense. A little helping hands here. I'm careful to clip onto the outer plastics because the speaker is obviously not this weird ear shape. It's just the circle in the center. So as long as I'm grasping outside of that, I'm not going to risk damaging the actual speaker unit. Yep. So same story as last time. I'm going to pre-tin that tiny little center pin. I'm gonna try to do this one on camera. It's actually surprisingly difficult because it's so small and it's so far away from my face. Damn, I think that bridged. So the problem is because everything's so tiny and so close, you don't want to get solder between the inside pin and that the outside area, because then the signal's not going to travel any farther because it's just going to go, oh, yep, and then loop back around. So what just happened is that tiny little center pin there, I got solder in between that and this outer tab here. So unfortunately, this particular connector is most likely ruined. Now, luckily, these are like on the order of a few cents per connector. So again, very low cost, very low risk, but I cannot use that connector now. Let's try this again. I'm gonna come at it from a slightly different angle. Try to keep my solder away from that outer tab. That's just got a touch of solder on it, so we're gonna... Okay, there we go. That looks better. Okay. It's the thing with these tiny little cables. Everything's so small and fiddly. It's so hard not to like bridge a connector or rip a cable or something like that. All right, let's see. But I wish they'd just do stuff like this from the factory. How hard is it to add a detachable connector? Apologize, I'm well aware that this is probably out of frame, but again, the stuff I'm working with is so small. I just have to bring it a little closer to my face so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So if I have this positioned correctly, I should be able to just press the wire into the solder, and that should pretty much just heat up the solder, and it should do its thing. Let's try. I think that while that technically worked, I think not quite seated. Okay, there we go. That looks better. So the way that I'm kind of determining how well it's actually soldered on is, let's say my finger's the pin and this is the wire. When you do a proper solder and you move the cable should only really move from the end of where the solder. So let's say my thumb is the solder, right? Finger pin, thumb is solder, this is the wire. If the solder is making a good connection with the wire, you'll see that it'll only move from the other side of where the solder kind of ends. Like that's where it'll start moving. If it doesn't have a good connection, you'll see, like, if the solder goes all the way out to here, let's say, you'll see the cable moving like this. That means that it's really not like seated in the solder well. It just didn't make a good connection. Terrible explanation aside, we're gonna move on to the outer one, which is much more simple because there's way more space to work off of. But really all I'm gonna do for this, there we go. And then I'm not gonna pre-tin this one because I've got plenty of space to work with. I'm just gonna, again, use the solder to press down if I can. Got the microphone stands in the way. All right. Need you. Oh, trying to film stuff like this is a pain. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I ended up pre-tinning it unintentionally, but that's okay. And now we can just... What's happening is I'm trying to put the solder down, or the iron down, and this guy's getting in the way. You're trying to film, it's just everything just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, a little messy, but you know what? Most likely functional. Let's do our little test again here. I'll give it a second to cool off because actually I spent a good amount of time with the heat on it. Yeah, these little, I don't know what they're made of. Almost look like brass, but I'm sure they're not. Whatever these little coated, probably gold coated, little cheap little guys are. They hold on to heat pretty well. So you heat them up with a 400 degrees Celsius object. Yeah, that's fine. They do retain that heat. All right. Test here. Here we go. Cool. Okay. We have. Oops. Yeah. We have. Hello. Oh, many things to keep track of. All right. We have noises, so that is a good sign. Yeah. This guy, good clean. It's on cables, on cables, on cables. Okay. Out of the way. Everything is in the way. That cool off. And again, pretty straightforward here. I'm just gonna let the teeth of this little unit kind of compress itself and hold itself in place. So what I'm gonna do, and it's very hard for me to show you this on camera, so I apologize, but the part of the tab where the pin is a little more shallow. So I'm gonna try to face that out. And little fiddly things like this are so difficult to work with sometimes. And then trying to keep it on camera. Ooh, it is, oh, there we go. It is a chore. Okay. There you go. Okay. Now in theory, we are done. Like I said, I might put a dab of super glue on that little exposed part just to kind of hold it in. But in theory, wait, this is right, doesn't, yeah, R. I can actually use the side of my table for this. I don't want to accidentally press on the, there we go, speaker grill, so. Nice flat surface so that, okay. Well, in theory, we are good. I'm going to switch off of my in-ears. Punch the mic for good measure. Go up on the gain. Let's see. Right. And left. On the head. All right. I can hear things. Need to crank up the volume a little bit here. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. We are going to play some music on my other computer just for me. Sorry, copyright and all that. Oh, these are kind of gross, aren't they? Sorry, things that get stuck in your ear don't always end up coming out looking super fantastic. These are nice little IMs though for the price. I think these are like $40 IMs. Nice, not bad. Hoping to get some nicer ones for Christmas, but we'll see. Good song. Really like the new Asking Girls. Ooh, you know, in the black, or the black rather. Okay, yeah, they sound good. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna put these guys on. Of course, now I'm using them for monitoring, so I'm just not gonna hear myself for a second. It's fine. I'm sure it'll be all right. Yeah, super straightforward. Just Grado. I forget if these are G pads. I'll link them in the description, but you just cut a little slot in them so that the cable can come out, and they just pop right over. Learned this from DMS, and I will link his original video. What convinced me to pull the trigger on these guys, especially because they're just so cheap. Like, how can you not, like, the amount of money that you spend on this setup for what it is, or for how good it is rather, is just astonishing. Now I think there's some new KPH30i's are not the latest version of the KPH of this kind of style headphone. I think they have a 40 or a 40i at this point. I haven't heard it myself. I know like Zeos really likes them. So I don't know, they might be really good. I can't speak to that. I'm not really all that well educated in that regard. I tend to go off of what people who have spent more time on in the headphone space recommend. So there we go. KPH30i. I think they called this the Ultra Mod when it's got the pads, but now with a detachable, in this case, Heart audio cable, which I will also link via MMXC. Let's put them back on. Yeah, the fun thing about these is when you get these pads, these big old pads on, it just makes it, how best to describe? It's like people love an open back headphone. This is a better example of an open back headphone. So what you're seeing through this grill, that is the speaker. That is the other side of the speaker. So like front of speaker, there's a little bit of foam there. Back of speaker, open back. The nice part about that is that you get like, it doesn't, the audio from the headphone leaks out a little bit, but you just get, it's difficult to describe. It makes everything sound way more open. It just makes it feel like you're in a giant space. These KPH30s with these pads kind of do that, but like even more open, because it's like, it's almost like the sound gets diffused into the rest of the pad. It doesn't sound like you're wearing a headphone. It sounds like you're just listening to audio in a room. Like it's almost like, I've heard people compare it to just being in a room with speakers. Guys back on the wall. Those are the HD6XX, which is very well known as just a phenomenal headphone. So yeah, that's it for that. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry it was a little scuffed. We'll have to see how the video turns out and whatnot. These project videos are kind of hit or miss. Hopefully you enjoyed your time here. I've got a couple other projects that I'm looking to tackle in the coming weeks. I'm actually going to be rebuilding these drop Carina boards into KB67 V2s, V3s. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be rebuilding a couple keyboards. I'm probably going to keep the keycaps because I actually do like the way these halftone putting keycaps sound. These ones aren't great quality, but it is what it is. I'll replace them with nicer keycaps at some point, but I'm going to be keeping the same switches, just all new case and board and foams and whatnot. So keep an eye out for that. These guys never really, I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but the stabilizers never really did anything good. Is that green thing in there? There's a little sticker in my keyboard. Yeah. Little green sticker. Oh, there it is. Yeah, me rebuilding these boards. The Carinas are fine. They just have some issues with like how they mount, and I don't know. I just don't like them very much. It's one of those things. It was my first purchase of like a keyboard to build, and I went with the Carinas because the idea of the RGB vomit really appealed to me. But in my time with them, they're just okay. They're not very good. I might try to remod them down the road with like cheaper switches, see if I can get them in a place where they're not too bad, but just as they are now, they're just not all that good. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I do still do Destiny 2 streams Friday nights and Saturday nights. So if you have any interest in watching some long form Destiny content, I try to keep it super chill. I'm just there to have fun. So yeah, join me for that if you are interested. There's a ton of VODs to sift through if you just want some content for the background audio to listen to. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you around. Bye.